welcome you to the launch of our digital platform. So the Global Innovation Hub is an initiative of the UNFCCC Secretariat launched at COP26, mainly to address two issues. The first is the fact that to a large extent, innovation is currently used only to serve power, economic power and military power. It is not used very often to address sustainability and climate, meaning to serve people and the planet. So we wanted to contribute in enhancing the use of innovation to serve people and planet. And then the second aspect is we wanted the use of innovation to support people and planet to be done in a more effective manner. So for that purpose, the Global Innovation Hub has been established, and it's a physical hub, which is actually what we have here, what is currently happening, and then a digital hub. The digital hub is the heart of the Global Innovation Hub. So basically, the key functionalities that we want to have on this digital hub is first, the understanding of the need for innovation. It's extremely important because we have the climate goal, we have the SDGs, the sustainability goal, but we were not able to translate the climate goal and the sustainability goal into innovation goal for climate and sustainability. We do not know exactly what are the innovation the solution provider should work on if we want to tackle climate and sustainability. So this is why the Global Innovation Hub platform will start from the needs and then conduct a backcasting normative scenario to translate the need of people, the need to have flourishing life for 10 billion people by 2050, to translate this need into climate and sustainability innovation on the value chain. So it will have also a system for curation of the solution, and finally, a system to identify and match-make demand for climate and sustainability solution and the right solution. So we do not have yet all the functionalities, but the work has started, and we now have a better understanding of what the need are, and we have also a better understanding of what are the future steps moving forward. So I will now hand over the floor to Martin, first to our moderator, Carlos, who will moderate his session. Carlos, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Massamba. So I will be moderating this session, and it's a pleasure to be today with you. I'm Carlos Ruiz, the project manager of the Global Innovation Hub. So as Massamba was saying, this is a dream to have the heart of the initiative in a way of a digital platform. So the first speaker today that will tell us about the overview of the virtual hub is Martin Wainstein. He's the executive director of OEF, the Open Air Foundation. So Martin, I would like to invite you to present. You have the floor.
Thank you, Carlos. And I think it might be good to have like the series of panelists that will be. Yeah, but we've also have a timeline. Can you put the next slide? So we've now gone through a whole year of evolution on the virtual hub since COP. What Massamba just showed is the UNFCCC idea conception, how this started, what drove the efforts that we have today to make this a reality. And this was around You can't really see the timeline, but it says summer 2021. Can you go to the next slide? In COP 26 in Glasgow, we made the main announcement of not just the virtual hub, but also the UN Global Innovation Hub as a whole. So we had the first physical hub, also almost 80 sessions driving innovation in Glasgow. And in that context, we presented a couple of advances to the vision for the virtual platform. Next slide. And those first to start conceptualizing that we may understand our exponential roadmap, different sectors that need to change in order to ensure that we stay for 1.5. That is an important and normal way that we think about decarbonization. The SDGs put another level of filtering through. It's not just any form of decarbonization. We have to look at things holistically. But really what is new from the UN Global Innovation Hub is that it focuses on core human needs. How to make these the pull factor for both SDGs and our exponential roadmap. Next slide. So in Glasgow, this is just to pick up where we left off. We worked on 3 fronts in terms of digital work streams. The first is to put out the website for UN Global Innovation Hub to be people to want to ask questions about what it is, why it's conceived. And now that is live. If you go to unf2cc.int, topics, innovation, you will have all the information, including all the sessions that are happening here. We also worked on a demo site to test questionnaires, questions that we can ask cities to better understand their core human needs. And finally, we did a prototype of what a future-looking platform looks like that we will show a video at the end of the presentation. Next slide. So this was a questionnaire site that we put out, and we've been testing it to ensure that we're better able to capture those core human needs from the perspective of cities. Next. And we also mapped out by Glasgow the ideal user journey from a city official, for example, as an authenticated user, how they become, how they sign up, how they create their profile, how they take primary actions as establishing demand, how it connects, just a lot of the conceptualization, including a lot of project feasibility, all the way down to NDC progress. I'm just describing what you can't see, but how do we go through the whole user journey? Next. And then again, start thinking about the architecture, because this is one of the most ambitious and forward-looking digital endeavors done by any UN body, I would say. It is something that needs to be able to connect data from multiple sources, AI to be able to better connect problems and solutions, and finance, how to drive financial capital into projects that make a change for core human needs that are deployable, as well as understanding who's who in the network, identities, and digital trust of how all these stakeholders interact. Next. So that's where we left off in Glasgow. What we're going to show now, and I'll pass the mic to I think Alex on the Amazon collaboration. And then we'll talk about taxonomy. Well, to Carlos. Yeah, no, let's keep going, because this is sort of the flow. We left there in Glasgow. We're going to show where we're at today in Sharm, a lot of the effort that has happened throughout the whole year, and then we're going to finish with where we're going in COP28 in Dubai, what the evolution of this project needs to achieve. Next slide. And with that, if you don't mind, Carlos, just over to Alex as we keep on the flow.
Thanks, Martin. Hi, everyone. My name is Alex Dalessio. I'm the head of the AWS Innovation Studio. We're a small program that supports impact-driven organizations in achieving their mission. So I am very thrilled to be here, first of all, so just that's great. And I'm going to talk about, as Martin mentioned, kind of where we are today, like what we've done over the last handful of months and where that takes us today at COP27. So next slide. So to be sort of specific, we're talking about today we've kind of arrived at the Virtual Hub Phase 1, which we consider to be a demand-driven approach to helping solve the issue of global innovation in the, when confronting climate change. Yeah, I was wondering about this, yeah. So in our Phase 1, there are many problems in this space, and we've heard about them over the last couple of days in this room, and we'll continue to hear about them over the next week and a half, right? But we needed to narrow it down. And one of the things we recognized as we thought about what to do is that there are many static sector-based databases and sources, stockpiling solutions, but they're usually manual. And we wanted to be able to sort of activate these and make it easier for governments and the public sector to access this information. So today, and as part of this COP27, I'm kind of happy to talk about the fact that the first two foundational components of the Virtual Global Innovation Hub exist. This is version 1 of the Global Innovation Hub taxonomy, which Eva will talk about more in detail in a moment, but it also includes the government onboarding tool. And I'm gonna dive into the logic behind starting here over the next couple slides. So next slide. Okay, so we are taking a bottom-up approach, right? What we wanted to do was start with the base, a demand-driven approach to solving for these types of issues. So the first tool that exists today is the government onboarding tool, which enables governments to input their needs and have these needs aggregated so that they can be acted upon by the global community, right? So this allows us to start with better understanding of how governments aspire to meet needs. It allows aggregation of needs for intelligent matching and the creation of challenges. It allows us also to see trends. Okay, next slide. The other thing that we're going to talk about today is the taxonomy, which is a foundational component of this initial piece. And basically what that means is that if you think about it, if we collect demands from around the world, these demands will be in all types of framings, all types of understandings about how they're trying to meet their needs. So what we've done is we've translated those using this vision of the human need into a common language, a common vocabulary, that then we can start to see where trends are, where aggregates are, where we can start to create sort of intelligent algorithms that can analyze what people are looking for and where they're looking for them and create these intelligent matching systems. So next slide. So coming next year, we'll be using these foundational components to drive our intelligent solution matching capability, right? And solutions can be technical, policy, service support, et cetera, right? We are aiming to connect with existing databases. We're not trying to reinvent the universe of all the databases that are out there that have all this information. We want to sort of use what we understand, this common vocabulary, and access all of these different databases to pull solutions towards the user. Next. And the last piece for COP28 is the financial enablement, where we want to bring financial mechanisms into this conversation to enable intelligent matching of solutions, the core needs of the governments, and these financial mechanisms, which include things like integrated green bond and carbon market tools. Okay, next. Okay. So this is an exciting screen because this is actually a screenshot of an existing product. This is the first version of the Virtual Innovation Hub. This exists. This is live on the internet. And you can see it says, "Welcome, Alex," there. That's me. This is the introduction page. I'm going to walk through very briefly how this tool works, but I'm not going to go into too much depth on it, but I invite you to reach out using the call to action at the end of this to ask questions, or if you want to participate on it, use it, work with me on it. We are going to be around for the next couple weeks to do that. So let's go to the next slide. So what this is doing is it is capturing the needs of government. So it is a tool that enables governments to articulate what types of plans, priorities, and goals they have, using a fairly uniform sheet. So they they enter in what opportunity or problem are they looking to solve, some basic information like data and IT infrastructure, some budget information, timelines. It goes down below, but I'm not showing you the whole thing. And then the system, let's go to the next page. The system then translates what you've entered and makes some recommendations based on that. So you'll say, I'm looking to improve the efficiency of buildings by 20%. And it will say, we recognize that as a human need of shelter, and it will start to expand the way that you think about solving for your own problem. So instead of you just moving in a sector-based approach where you just have this idea, you go out and you source it, and then you do it, it's opening up the possibility of different types of solutions that can solve for these types of problems. Next slide. Then based on those answers, the system then presents some potential challenges that are common to the types of solutions that you've identified, or the types of focus areas and actions that you've identified. And this will, in terms of the detail of this, we'll go into that a little bit more in the next section when we talk about the taxonomy. You'll understand a little more about what each of these pieces is. But here are the challenges again. The system identifies the potential ones. The users obviously select and validate, right? So next slide. And so at the end, you have this document that, and we have these from a number of different governments, and we start to see trends. We start to see consistencies, types of problems that are not met through innovation, types of things that we can start to make intelligent connections. Because remember, this is only phase one, the foundational component. The next phase of adding solution matching and the financial matching will leverage this foundation in order to make it possible for people to accelerate the ability to solve their problems. That's what I have for now, and then I think I'm going to hand it over to Eva. Yeah, thanks.
Great, thanks, Alex. All right, next slide. Hi, everyone. I'm Eva Gladek. I'm oh, wait. This is actually still Alex's slide. So in case you would like to get involved, it'll come up again, apparently, so that's fine. All right, so what has been mentioned a few times already is the taxonomy. So I'm the founder and CEO of Metabolic, an organization that collaborated with Amazon and all these parties here to develop that taxonomy, the first version. It's going to be a living framework. So next slide. What is the taxonomy and why is it so important in such a project? So ultimately what we're trying to do here is match the needs of governments that they've identified, problems that they're experiencing, that they're trying to solve, that are framed around human needs, and actually match those to these potential solutions. And to do that, you need to have a common language, as Alex already mentioned. So starting from human needs, there are 5 that are defined, which we'll go through quickly. We suggest different focal areas that have been actually developed bottom up from the types of actions and human needs that are possible. And then that leads to a suggested list of actions, the challenges, and finally suggests a whole plethora of solutions that these government actors can select. So this is what we've developed so far for the framework, and it's going to grow dynamically over time. Next slide, please. So in this context, in the context of the tool, the human needs are not described as in a Maslow hierarchy, but rather really linking to value chains and product service systems that can actually be connected into the local economy. So we have nutrition and health. Access. Access covers a broad range of things such as transportation or internet access, etc. Shelter, leisure, and clothing. And these are going to be frameworks that also evolve as users interact with the tool. Next slide. So next we have the focus areas. And this was one of the critical things to make sure that the language of the tool actually speaks to the people who are using it. So it had to be commonly used terminology. It also had to be directly related to the human needs that are the top of the framework, and also making sure that the categories overlap in a minimal way. So, for example, focal areas could be sectors like fisheries within the nutrition category, or common challenges that are faced like water management, or impacts that are experienced like food waste. So these are all supposed to be things that connect readily with people, that they recognize these terms. Next slide. And so then there are the actions. So we developed a whole set of around 135 actions. They're created as outcome-focused behaviors. So there's a possibility to look at all of these databases that already exist of hundreds of thousands of possible solutions. And in order to develop the action categories, we took those and made them more generic. So moving from something like infrared thermography for heat stress detection to heat stress management. So basically bringing it up a level, and also not going from the top down, because then you end up with a kind of random set of categories. Next. So then we have the challenges, and these are really important because these are the barriers that organizations, that governments recognize themselves for why they're not able to solve the particular issue that they've identified. So they can be in the area of skills or expertise or financing or business models, etc. Next slide. And then lastly, we have the solutions. And as was already mentioned, the goal is not to develop a whole new set of possible solutions, but rather connect to existing databases, of which there are many, to actually automatically link these challenges and solutions. So one example that we actually used extensively in the development of the taxonomy is the WIPO Green platform. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it has over 130,000 specific technology examples that can be used to address existing challenges. Next slide. So this is just an example of how the taxonomy works. So we have the area of shelter, and then we have the different focus areas. So that can be, you identify that we need to innovate around building materials or energy efficiency, et cetera. And then these are the different actions, the categories of actions that have been abstracted from these very, very large lists of solutions. So we'll go through quickly what this looks like for the others. So next slide, please. So this is what it looks like for clothing. Next slide. Leisure. Next slide. Nutrition and health. Next slide. And access. So that's kind of the kind of higher level. Okay. Next slide. And then this is how the example actually works. So as a government, I say, okay, I'm concerned about nutrition and health. I am in particular interested in reducing food waste, but also making sure that my local livestock and seafood sectors are doing well economically. So these are the focus areas that I'm selecting. Then I pick actions. So reducing food waste in processing and transportation, for example. And then then I identify challenges. So for me, the challenges are financing this and business models. And it's the intersection between the actions and the challenges that results in the solutions that I actually need. So that's the kind of key in the tool. Next slide. So where we are now is that the taxonomy is developed and the first version of the tool has been launched, and there's going to be a whole process of refinement. So really delving into user needs, defining the priorities of what the next features of the tool need to be next, and revising the taxonomy, having this kind of iterative process, developing the solutions database, and finally adding additional functionalities. So this is going to grow organically as the tool evolves. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next slide. So there is an email address if you need more information on how to access to this data, or if you have suggestions and you'd like to get in touch, please follow the next slide, please. Thank you. So what we will do now, we will show a video. So we would like our colleagues at the back to have the video prepared. And I pass on to Martin. Martin?
This is not working. Thank you. Thanks, Carlos. We just covered very important building blocks for this very big vision. So before we play the video, I'll just give a context to it. There's still a lot of work to do between now and COP28. If we follow Alex's slide, the triangle, the smart matching, and the financial enablement, this is the part that we really wanted to ideate and imagine the art of the possible, of what can be delivered, which is, as I said at the beginning, quite unique for a UN body to help drive subnational governments, solution providers, financial enablements, policymakers to work together, because also, as we talked about yesterday at the launch, this is the implementation COP. So we have to turn the power of technology, the power of how we match things together to drive it into millions of projects and the flow of trillions of dollars in capital into something that elevates our human experience and addresses our climate challenges. So that's just the intro of the video. It's a forward-looking statement of what is possible, and those type of things are what help us think about what needs to build between now and COP28. So put it away.
The United Nations Climate Change Global Innovation Hub, or UGIH, is being designed as a network of innovation programs enabling climate and sustainability solutions for the satisfaction of the core human needs of citizens and other demand actors, creating a simulated and executable plan of action. To participate in this growing network, you would create and verify your account on the UGIH digital platform. Identify the human needs you want to satisfy in a more sustainable manner, their related challenges, and finally, input your data to better frame and match your demand for innovative solutions. Following these simple steps, you will get a diagnostic output of your city for you to validate, followed by a customized solution plan. You can review and approve the proposed solutions, request a platform to search for other solutions across the network, or broadcast the missing elements for new innovations to be developed. Once your core human needs are matched with the appropriate climate and sustainability solutions, you can identify key enablers for your project plan, such as finance or policy organizations, to explore potential opportunities for your project. Being a part of the most collaborative climate data environment gives you the resources to reach out to solution providers for the implementation of your program and allows you to report the progress and track them through GHG accounting.
Great. Carlos, back to you, and we could probably also deal with questions and things.
Thank you, Martin. A big round of applause. It's an important step for the Global Innovation Hub. Thank you. So next, I would like to invite the presenters. We will have a short panel, so we will accommodate the coach. Thank you. And thank you. As you could see, we are very accommodating and very flexible with the technologies that we have at our disposal in these sessions. But I think it's important to stress that actually in the design of the Global Innovation Hub, we have two main components. The first one is, of course, the physical hub where we create the movement and we have the community that is able to talk and have dialogues around transformative innovation. But the second component that is very key is what is related to this panel, which is the virtual collaboration platform. And in this context, of course, we were very, very fortunate to have the right partners that would help us to get to this point where we are launching the first module of the platform. So with that said, of course, we have the first milestone, but still we have an interesting roadmap, and we want you to be part of it. We will be inviting cities, for example, to log into the platform and help us to understand through the platform to gather the demand. Once we have the demand, then we can, of course, identify and match-make solutions, and they can be available solutions, but in those areas where we don't have the solutions, open the innovation space. So my first question, I'd like to start with Eva. She walked us through the taxonomy process. This is key to design the tool in a way that is fit for purpose, where we also gain experience, and that this database is then creating all the information and the knowledge needed for bringing the enabling actors and then amplify and catalyze action in this innovation. So, Eva, this is a first of its kind experience. I would say moving from the regular traditional sector-oriented approach to a more need-based approach demands quite a radical and new innovation understanding of the taxonomies, but how it looks and how this connects to different actors, including, of course, the innovators, but also the end users, countries, subnational governments, cities. So my first question to you is where we are, you presented, where we are in the moment in terms of taxonomy. Where do you think we should be going in terms of development? You show us that there is already some partners that can be strategic like WIPO Green, and how to get there. What is the next step of collaboration with these entities to build up the taxonomy that is needed?
Yeah, thanks. That's a great question. I mean, of course, the taxonomy itself is meant to be a kind of living framework. As users start interacting with the platform and responding about what kinds of needs they have, what solutions they're looking for, the taxonomy will grow naturally. And of course, the basis for a really solid taxonomy, we've looked at dozens of existing frameworks, both top-down and bottom-up, for how to organize problems and solutions. So it has a really good foundation. We can partner with the different entities that have created databases so that we're not redoing any work unnecessarily. And as we bring in new tooling, then we can actually use AI to start organizing some of these categories in more sensible ways. But really the magic will happen when there are users who are directing through their own needs, what should be part of that taxonomy and how that should be structured. So.
Thank you very much, Eva. Very quick follow-up question. We have an audience, they are very engaged, and we have also in the remote universe probably a lot of also key partners that may be interesting to help us build this taxonomy forward. How they should be get in touch, and what sort of format do we have to receive their feedback and inputs?
Well, I actually think that maybe Martin is better positioned to answer that. But I think that there are ways to. There was a slide that said how to get involved, and maybe it's good to put that slide up. But so there's certainly please get in touch. Please email if you're interested and excited about this. Write to us and follow the guidance on this slide that's coming up here. For how you can participate. So certainly if there are databases of solutions, we're definitely looking for those to be included. So yes, this is the email address, email innovationhub@unfccc.int. And also, if you're interested in using the tool, if you're a city or or even maybe a civil society organization who works with cities that could potentially use this, then please do get in touch.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Eva. And taxonomy, again, I think this is a key component of the tool, so we will be looking forward to get your input, suggestion, or if you know other initiatives that can synergize, that would be great. So let me move now to Martin. Martin, where do we want to go? We have an interesting roadmap ahead. We have a vision that will help us to amplify innovations and to, of course, identify the enabling actors that can help to scale up, but also to bring innovations up to speed so that we can have a good results in terms of implementation of the climate actions, the NDCs. And so this is the momentum for implementation. But beyond that, where do you see this tool and this vision going? How this is part of the global climate agenda? What are the opportunities in addition to the innovations to feed into the other processes, UNFCCC processes, or that are connected to climate action implementation?
Yeah, it's great, and it's very important to also anchor like what can happen on the ground over the next year. Where do we want to be a year from now, and what do we want the future of the UN Global Innovation Hub to represent 10 years from now? During the next year, what Alex presented in terms of what we call the minimum viable platform is essential because we need to learn from our users. And in this case, we're taking cities as the primary users, but on the other side of the matching are also solution providers. So that lesson helps to constantly make this a living learning platform and to better designed an infrastructure that is a lot more sophisticated. The video that we saw requires a highly sophisticated engine behind it of matching, of simulating projects and their interconnectedness at a city level, and then turning that into finance. So that requires a level of digital mobilization, engineering, and design that I think it's quite unprecedented. So to do that, over the next couple of months, our task as part of the UN Global Innovation Hub as partners is to set up a consortium to be able to work together of all the different technology implementation partners, all of the experts to build this collaborative tool that is also not a minor thing, designed to be open source, because a lot of this infrastructure is part of being able to allow replication and allow communities to help improve it as well. So there's a process of selecting all the right implementation partners, the governance, because this is a UNFCCC project, and the supporters, the resources that we need, technologies that need to that the tool can be leveraged. We often describe this as we have software, but we also have glueware, things that are supposed to glue modules out there. This is the role of what the vision for an architecture for this, where existing systems, engines that maybe help model a city environment or do pre-feasibility assessments of financial projects could plug into this. So the app store of the virtual hub should be quite an important place for it. So that's an important part of partners that can eventually plug in. Wipo Green is one example of a database. We're going to want to connect with accelerators, funds that have built a whole portfolio of solutions out there. And of course, the role of philanthropy and different support programs to help build all the engineering. So that's going to be happening particularly over the next couple of months, so that we get to Dubai a year from now showing the two aspects that are quite specific. Matching, so allow cities to be able to say, here are my needs. I want to know who within my jurisdiction or outside my jurisdiction can solve that. Groups of experts that can help curate that. And then how do I take that into action? How do I finance that? How do I track that is actually working? And how do I hand off from like a UNFCCC virtual hub into project development and engineering? So it's an exciting road ahead. If we want to see 10 years from now, so that's like 1 year, 10 years from now, this would be an unprecedented digital platform that is helping drive, again, hopefully billions of dollars into projects that particularly caters to Global South. As Global South cities, small, medium, larges, are growing, they have to grow to cater to 11 billion people in the world, but also leapfrogging into a lot of solutions that are low carbon based, new materials, and a network of cities that are learning from each other. So a project that works really well in Jakarta can inform another project that might be in Cape Town. And so it's not just a project finance and project pipeline development, it is also a smart collaboration engine, because at the end of the day, our goals are we're all in it together. So that's sort of the immediate 1 year and 10-year vision.
Excellent. Thank you so much. You mentioned collaboration. We are very privileged to have a strategic partner with us. Among them, of course, Mission Innovation has been instrumental as well. Happy to have them here. And also the Open Air Foundation, a recent partner of the UNFCCC that has quite interesting attributes to move forward with these tools. In one hand, very good understanding of the climate agenda and what is needed to implement the agenda, but also the technologies and the capabilities, IT solution capabilities. This is a silicon-based organizations. Of course, they do know how to. They really know how to advance with these platforms. Now, moving to Alex, and we are very happy. And actually, it's been a wonderful journey to get to this point. Working with AWS, the Amazon Web Systems Innovation Studio. So, Alex, we have been working very, very hard during the past 6 months, validating the assumptions that we have when we designed the tool, and that also took us to speak to many, many actors, key actors, not only the innovators, and understand how this tool is fit for purpose, but also understanding, for example, from cities, what is the narrative, what are the demands, how can we take these narratives and translate it into the core human needs. Can you please share some of the experiences that you have going through these interactions with them? What were the challenges? And more importantly, on their demand, how they can take full advantage of this platform moving forward?
Sure. I think with any kind of development process, the importance of working with the end users, working with the people who are actually going to be using these things is just critical. And this was no exception. And to be honest, we still have a lot of work to do working with the key stakeholders involved in this project. We want to talk to dozens more cities, solution providers, financial providers, finance providers, venture capital firms, incubators, accelerators. I mean, we have a very ambitious agenda for making sure that we've really validated this tool. In terms of the work that we did, in getting to where we are today, we went out and we spoke to a number of cities across the world. I won't list them all, but we tried to be as broad as we could. And what we saw was a real appetite for solutions like this. The current process is really heavily dependent on the individual capabilities of individual people in these countries, right? In these cities. Like individual, planners are responsible for understanding the universe of the possible as it relates to, the benefits of wind farm versus solar panels, the benefits of, bike lanes versus improved public transportation, these kinds of things. And these are the obvious ones, right? There's a whole generation of technologies that are coming along so it's already difficult and increasingly difficult to navigate the art of the possible, and also to reconcile the ability to be ambitious with the requirement of being practical, right? So, and I think that that's a lot of things. I think that people are excited about stuff. And so what this tool potentially does is it brings information to them. It helps tell them what's possible. It helps tell them what's out there. What are other people doing? What's working? What are you really trying to do? If I say I want to improve, if I'm a city official and I say I want to improve my EV infrastructure, do I really want to do that, or do I have an access problem? And I want to know about a bunch of different ways that can be solved, because that sort of sector-based, incremental, what's my neighbor doing way that is pretty much the norm today is just not it's not ambitious enough as a general plan, and it's not gonna get us where we need to go. And so I think we see that they want help, and there's really no better organization to do this. I think that's why I'm here. I'm sure that's why many of us are here, than the United Nations Global Innovation Hub focused on climate change, right? I mean, this is the right organization. This is the right time to be building this tool for them, and they see that. So I think there's excitement. I think we have a lot of work to do, so I don't, but yeah, and I'm looking forward to talking to more end users and getting it right.
Thank you. I have two follow-up questions before getting to how to get in touch. Why a city or a subnational government and an investor, a joint venture capital or something like this, will be interested to join the platform?
Yeah, sure. Why? So this is something we talk about a lot, and I vacillated about whether or not I should kind of go into too much detail on this presentation. But for the cities seemed like, there are a lot of great organizations partnered with the UNFCCC that are working with cities. We've done a lot of work over the last few years. I mean, groups like Metabolic, a number of groups. So we know a lot about cities, and we have a lot of connections with cities. We have a lot, and there are a lot of cities. So it's a nice intersection of a group that we have access to, that we understand, that has disparate but similar problems. And so it seemed like a good place to start. It is by no means a city tool. It is a government tool. It is a public sector tool. I think down the line we can imagine groups that are non-governmental using this. But it was just a place to start where we felt like we had some basic advantages to really understanding the needs. And then as it relates to venture capital firms, things like this, one of the things that we've identified in this process is that there are mutually beneficial systemic sort of relationships in the potential of this hub, right? And one that I would like to say is, let's say you're a city and you have a particular problem. You put your demands into the system. The system translates those demands and finds a handful of existing solution providers, but it also finds startups, academic laboratory capabilities that might be interesting to you. You find one of these academic laboratories, you find a startup, let's say, or an academic laboratory. Through that relationship, which again is validated by the UN, which is recognized as 1.5 degree aligned, if you take that relationship, that potential partnership to a venture capital firm, that is this market signal of a product market fit. This is a thing that they are going to want to see, and it tells a story to them that if they invest, there is a deployment of this. There is a need for this, and this need is validated by the UN. And so I think there are a lot of synergistic capabilities with how these partnerships get made, and then how they translate into an accelerated environment for the deployment of emerging technology, new companies, and scaling, which is a huge part of the problem.
Thank you very much, Alex. I think that's the best call for action, for engagement. So, Alex, during this week, we will be also opening the tool, inviting key actors like cities to come, connect, and apply and use the tool, and so that we can start building the database. So what will be the process for them to get in touch? What are the next steps?
Sure. I mean, talk to your friends, anybody you know that has any relationship to city governments who would like to participate in this. I will be here to work with them on site most of the time, but they can also just email this address here, and I will get aware of it, and I will find a time to kind of sit down and talk while I'm here. So, and I very much look forward to connecting and getting some data onto the platform.
Thank you so much. We will be having a booth. We have a quite robust network of cities, for example, through GCOM, through Climate Kick, to Mission Innovation, that we can outreach, connect. Many of them are around at COP27, so we will invite them to come and connect and to be part of this movement. So we have a few minutes. Any burning question from the audience? If not, then I would like to invite the panelists for one final remark, 1 minute remark, starting with Martin.
First, I'll start by thanking you, Carlos. It is a true pleasure and honor to work with such a great group of individuals that are part of the UNFCCC Global Innovation Hub team. It is a pleasure for us. We're a small nonprofit organization with big ideas, and it's a very warm experience to work in this context. So that's also a shout out for all the other partners that are part of the network, and the many other partners that are yet to come, to know how much of a fertile ground there is in this project for big ideas, for working together, and to create practical tools, because functionally this is also about building tools. I look forward to the efforts that we can have as a UGIH partner community to set up that implementation arm, a consortium, work with different groups that are particularly looking at supporting this project going forward, definitely reach out to Carlos or Massamba or myself around this. There's very little time left to some extent to put the tools in front of cities. So we are in a critical junction, which also makes this particularly exciting. And I really look forward to all the lessons that we're going to learn over the next year to get to the next COP with an even stronger product and platform. Thank you.
Great. I also come from a small mom and pop shop. Just kidding. I guess, without spending too much time on it, I really think this is a meaningful program, and I think that it will take a village to build and to maintain and to make powerful, but that the capabilities there, the technology underlying it, the ability to learn, which hasn't really been emphasized enough, but the system is a data system. The more data on it, the more it's going to learn. It's going to get better at finding out ways to do things, and that's a superpower that humanity has to deploy towards these types of problems that we should do. But beyond that, I'm just thrilled to be a part of something that I think matters like this. Cheers.
So as a final thought, you asked earlier, Carlos, about why cities, and I just wanted to share a couple of interesting statistics. So if you look at, from a carbon perspective, just the largest 100 cities in the world contribute 18% of global carbon emissions. And if you extend that to the largest 1,000 cities in the world, you get to 60% of carbon emissions. Of course, embodied emissions as well, what those cities are consuming. So really, cities are a leverage point, and of course it's not where the tool should stop, but if you start with cities, and if we're really trying to look at what can be done in the next decade, then actually actively figuring out how to help these actors really take massive strides toward decarbonization, connect them with financing, connect them with the right solutions, and then create a learning cycle around that is extraordinarily powerful. It's we don't have so many shots left that we can take in the coming decade. So if this actually delivers what it can, it is one of those opportunities for that massive decarbonization. And I also am very happy to be involved in this work from the background of the city's work that we've been doing at Metabolic for the last decade. And I think that there's no better organization to situate this in than the United Nations FCCC. So
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you so much, Eva. We are very privileged to have this possibility to be facilitators of this process. It's the beginning of a very, very interesting journey. We are completely committed, and also we can see the benefits and the impacts that this will bring. And we are very privileged to have, again, the strategic partners at this point, but looking forward to expand our partnership and have a bigger movement. So you are all invited to be part of the Global Innovation Hub. Please don't hesitate to connect. This milestone today will open up a digital platform that will really help us to scale up this network beyond these physical spaces. Thank you very much all for coming, and we look forward to have this launching of the platform expanding and having more actors on board. Thank you very much, everyone.